We are rolling. We are live. We are here. So, if all goes to plan, this should be the first podcast that you are seeing on my brand new podcast show, Head to Head with Sam Gibson. Now, the purpose of this podcast, it started off just me wanting to get my clients on, because I've got an online coaching program where I help people overcome their relationship with food, eliminate binge eating, get a handle on their anxiety, just create the life that they want to live. That's what I help people do. But then it kind of snowballed into, well, we can turn this into a separate thing. Yeah, so I'm going to have clients on this show who I've worked with inside of my coaching program. I'm going to have guests who I have connected with, who I think have got a good story to tell, who I think can provide some kind of quality conversations. And that's what I see podcasting as. I see podcasting as just someone who's got something valuable that they want to spread a message, and they want to have a quality conversation that hopefully someone can listen to and they can get something from. I'm very inspired by podcasts myself. I listen to a fair few and I really enjoy them, and I thought, you know what it is, I want to recreate mine. And it's not just going to be talking about things involved in my business and what I do for a career and how I help people. It's just going to be conversations about life, So however you got here, whether you've listened to my book, because I am an author of an audiobook, How to Stop Binging and Finally Get in Shape. It's had thousands and thousands of downloads. It's free to download. I'm sure I'll be putting the links to that in the description of this podcast and everywhere else across my website and such. But maybe you've listened to my audiobook. Maybe you followed it on social media. Maybe you're actually one of my clients, because I've actually worked with about 1,000 people, very close to 1,000. I don't know the exact number. It must be close to 1,000. 1,000 people from 9 different countries so far, inside of my coaching programs, inside of Limitless Training, which is my coaching business that I've had, I want to say 5 years, but really it's only been 3 that I've been doing it full time. And, part of what I want to talk about today is introducing myself, what I'm about, how I help people, the kind of clients I work with, what results they get, but just also the direction of where I'm going to take this podcast in the future, because I'm hoping it snowballs into something wonderful, into something that provides a lot of value. So if all goes to plan, for whatever reason, you would have found me on my audiobook, you would have found me on YouTube, you would have found me on social media. But regardless of how you got here, this should be the first episode in this brand new podcast series. So this episode is just me, got no guests. I wanted to introduce myself. I wanted to give you guys a chance to see my personality, to see what I'm all about, to understand, well, am I going to be giving you a message that you can relate to, that you can learn from, or am I not? And I like to use this method called the Marmite method. Everyone knows what Marmite is. Yeah, people love it or people hate it. People say that, it's like Marmite, you either love it or you hate it. Well, that's what I consider myself as. I like the Marmite method. I use it within my business. I use it with my personality. I'm like, you know what it is? I'm authentic. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be truthful. And I'm confident in my abilities to do that. So I'm going to put myself out there, the version of me that I think is most valuable, in my own opinion. And if people don't like it, that's cool. They don't have to like me, and I'm all right with that. But if people love it, hey, I'm going to help them. So this is what this is all about. I'm just going to put out my authenticity. I'm going to put out my story, because I do believe I've got a good story to tell. Like I say, I've been coaching people on and off since 2012 in some degree. And it started off as just a personal trainer helping people get in shape. And they were just my mates. I was always the guy who was in shape. I remember being 14-year-old, getting changed in PE, and the teacher was like, holy shit. Well, he didn't say holy shit. You can imagine teachers don't swear, but he was like, wow, you've been lifting weights, Sam? And I'm like, no. He was like, you look jacked. And I was thinking at, the age of 14, I haven't lifted any weights. What happens if I started lifting weights? So I was always the guy who was just genetically in shape. I was jacked at a young age without even training. So all of my mates kind of gravitated towards me. Sam, you should help us do the gym plan. You should help with the diets. And of course, I was inspired by it. So I think what started my fascination with personal training was actually that conversation with the teacher when he was saying, wow, Sam, you look like you should be doing you should be doing some fighting or some sport or something. I was playing football, but it's not really physical. And that's when I started thinking, wow, imagine what I could look like if I lifted weights. And I remember when I was 15, I watched Pump and Iron, which is a documentary from Arnold Schwarzenegger from the 70s. It's like to do with bodybuilding. And ever since then, I was absolutely hooked on going to the gym. And I would say for the next 8-9 years, I was totally obsessed with bodybuilding, with fitness, with helping people get in shape. And that's kind of my backstory, So since 2012-ish time, when I was about 17 or 18, I'm 26 now, I've been coaching people at some degree since then. The coaching that I do now, like I say, I've worked with over 1,000 people from 9 different countries. I've got a coaching program with various coaching business with various different coaching programs, and I work with roughly between 80 to 100 people one-to-one at any given time. And I'm looking to work with more people very, very soon with this new program I've got coming out, which I'm sure I'll be telling you all about. But for right now, I've got about 100 one-to-one clients. So it's quite a big business. It's going very well, but I didn't start off like that. I started off very, very small. I started off just with a hobby. Yeah, a hobby, that was it. And then my transition from it being a hobby, to something that I really struggled at, to be honest, to something that's transitioned into this big business where I employ 3 people now, including myself, and work with 100 people worldwide. It's crazy, and I've got a lot to tell in that time, both good, both bad, all the mistakes I made, all the life-changing things that I've done, not just for myself, but showing people how they can replicate that themselves. It's, I could write a book. I've already done a book, but I could write an actual book, about my journey since I left school and started my transition into becoming an adult, and I've done trainings before, I've done podcasts before where I've talked about that stage from leaving school and being a child to kind of discovering who you are as an adult. That's a potentially dangerous time because not a lot of adults lead by example. And I work with a bunch of young people who are struggling to find their identity. And I can see that in them because I saw that in myself. I really struggled to find my identity. It wasn't until my early 20s that I kind of realized, hang on, this is what I want to do with my life. This is how I should act. This is right. This is wrong. This is a part of my personality that I don't like. This is a part of my personality that I do like. These are my, toxic traits. And I use those with quotation marks because really there's no such thing as toxic traits. That's just traits. We're humans. We own every single trait. We have the potential to experience any trait and any personality and any emotion. It's about which ones we allow to come to the surface. If anyone's ever listened to Eckhart Tolle, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, The Power of Now, he talks about these sub-personalities. Everyone's got them. We've got these little things inside of us, these traits that will come out at any given circumstance. And I think what I was struggling with was finding out my identity. Like, who was I? What parts of my personality did I want to come to the surface to present to the world, And like I say, I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've also done a lot of good. I really do believe that. And I've got a good story to tell. So this podcast in the future, including this episode and future episodes, it's about spreading. It sounds very cliche, spreading positivity. That's what I mean by that. And what I mean by positivity is it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be things that are all happy and fine and rosy. Sometimes positivity is actually talking about adversity, talking about overcoming adversity, talking about what you did wrong and owning up to it. And I'll be talking about some home truths today in this next half an hour or so as I'm introducing my podcast, So I guess where it all started for me, again, leaving school, I just did engineering because my family kind of pushed us into a job, the whole kind of putting the fear of God into you as a working class kid. You need to get a job, otherwise you're behind, otherwise you'll be on the dole the rest of your life, you'll get involved in crime and you need to hang around with these people and avoid these, you've got to get a job. So by the time I was 16-year-old, I had the fear of God in us, by, you've got to live your life like this. And already I thought that my life was kind of just predetermined for us. I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. So I went into the engineering route, absolutely hated it. That year doing engineering, getting up 5:30 in the morning, getting the first metro. I live in South Shields, and then getting the metro to Newcastle. It's about maybe 10 metro stops. Takes about 20 minutes. Going to Newcastle, centre of Newcastle at 7 in the morning, having to get another bus to go to this big factory in the middle of nowhere, 7:30, work on a machine all day, leave at 5 o'clock to do it all again the next day. And that scared the shit out of me as a 16-year-old because after a couple of weeks, I realised that wasn't me. That wasn't me. And I even found at the age of 16, started to develop a bit of an alcohol problem. Like, I could not wait to get to the weekend so I could get pissed. And I think someone might hear that statement and say, well, Sam, you're 16. You're a 16-year-old kid. Yeah, everyone drinks when they're that age. Everyone goes out. It's what you live for. Of course you do. Yeah, I was a bit of a party animal, just like all my friends were, just like everyone was at that age. I don't think there's anything wrong in that, but that was developing and it was getting more and more strong, that urge to just go out on the weekend and get absolutely wrecked. Yeah, it used to be, we'll go out on Saturday night, and then it become, we'll start drinking on Thursday because it's nearly the weekend and we'll just have to survive one day at work hungover. Then it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Then it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then it was Monday was so shit, so yeah, we'll go to the pub, after the gym and have a couple of pints just to get through the week. And I ended up getting into that lifestyle, and I realised after a year, all I'm doing is going to a job I hate, which I wasn't even getting paid for, by the way. It was classed as an apprenticeship, a pre-apprenticeship. Yeah, it was a big... I'd say it was a government scam, but really it wasn't. It was just training up lads in an engineering environment, letting them go to the factory, giving them day release from college, and hopefully they had the qualifications to go and get a job. Yeah, it doesn't really work that way, especially for a bunch of lads who aren't getting paid and there's no incentive to it. So I didn't really excel in that. I left, yeah. And like I say, I realised from the age of 16, like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, I don't like it. Yeah, I couldn't be one of those people who had a job they hated, so, and that's one of my biggest passions right now. I always try and coach people on that. If you are working in a job that you absolutely despise and you feel like it's a dead end thing and you just can't see any way out, you need to ask yourself, is this truly what's most important to me? And I guarantee you it's not. Your mental health's not worth a job, guys, and I think so many people struggle with their mental health because they're in a job that they hate, that they think they can't escape from. You absolutely can. When I realised that at a young age, it was like the first time I ever went against what my parents' advice was. It was the first time I stood up for myself. And I've got amazing parents, I love them to bits, they're wonderful people. But they were just doing what they thought was best at the time. That's kind of the working class thing to do. You push your kids into a job, you want them to be successful, you want them to be safe and comfortable. That was just their way of keeping me safe, but didn't really understand my feelings, so that was the first time I ever said, listen, I'm not doing what you want to do, I'm doing what I want to do. And I got some resistance at the time, and it might have affected our relationship, but here I am kind of 10 years later. I've got a 6-figure business. I employ 3-4 people. I've worked with 1,000 people nearly from 9 different countries. It's going very well, so I want to show the things that I've learned and the things that I've applied to my life and explain them to you, because I know you can learn something from this, so I hope my story is maybe getting some creative juices flowing, So back to when I left engineering at the age of 17, I had a year of it. I thought, that's not for me. I can't do it. I just can't do it. And that's when I got involved in sport. I was like, well, you know what it is? I love training since I was 14. Ever since my PE teacher said, Sam, you need to start lifting weights because you are fucking jacked. Yeah. So I started lifting weights and I loved it. 3 years later, I'm in shape. I thought, you know what it is? I could teach people how to do this. People are always asking me. My friends are asking me. So in 2012 time, 17, 18 maybe, however old I was, I had about maybe 3 or 4 friends who were training with us, and I just thought, you know what it is? Like, if you give me 20 quid, yeah, I'll write you a diet plan for the next 8 weeks and I'll help you get in shape. Oh, great, there you go. So I guess that was the first time I ever had a hobby or a side hustle. That's where my entrepreneurial spirit started. And well, I've got a talent, I've got something creative that I can help people with. I can help them solve a problem. And I knew that from a young age. And I knew I could build a career out of that. It didn't happen straight away. I didn't go self-employed until 2019, I believe. So it was still 5-6 years of wanting to become self-employed personal trainer, making a living off my own business. It still took us that long, but even then the seeds were planted. Yeah, so that's where it started. I guess I was just training my mates. Yeah, I was doing all that work for free, writing diet plans on like PDF documents and emailing them over, and it just dawned on us one day. I was like, hang on a second, I'm setting up a PayPal account. I don't even think I had a bank account at the time. Yeah, I'm setting up a PayPal account. Send me 20 quid on that PayPal account and I'll do your diet for you every single week. Yeah, so there I am, 17, 18-year-old. I'm going to the gym with my mates. I'm training myself anyway, and they're paying us 20 quid, every couple of weeks or whatever it was, every month or something. I can't remember. Something like that, dead cheap. And I'm giving them print out diet plans. I'm sending them emails of that training program. And I'm thinking, I can do this full time. I'm sure I could. Like I say, it took us a long time, but that was where that seed was planted. So I guess that was my dream from the age of maybe 17. Like I say, it didn't really work out, so back then, I think my idea of how to become a successful personal trainer was to get fucking jacked myself, yeah, and then post pictures about it on social media. Well, I realized pretty fast people who are looking for a personal trainer, they don't care about how you look. They care about what results you can get them, whether that's helping them, end binge eating, whether that's helping them understand nutrition more, whether that's helping them drop weight, whether that's helping them improve their fitness. The client, the potential customer who was looking to hire you as a personal trainer, I didn't realize at the time they didn't care about me. Yeah, they cared about themselves and what I could help them with. So I kind of got it wrong. Yeah, so this whole personal trainer thing didn't really work out for us, apart from, the odd pal who I had who knew that I was doing training, would offer us, Sam, can you come train us in the gym? I'll give you this. Great, that sounds amazing. And I used to undersell myself in terms of, finances, because I was just so grateful to get the work. I was so grateful that someone wanted me to help them. I'd kind of undercut myself. So I didn't make any money off personal training. I think I was doing a training for my guys inside one of my programs the other day, and I think I broke down my transition, and I said I made like maybe £2,000 in like 5 years from personal training, like nothing to live on, so I realized I kind of had to get a job. And the first job I got was when I went to university. So I started studying exercise science, learning a bit about psychology, sports nutrition, which I was very fascinated in, and at the time I had nothing else going on. So university after college was kind of like the next gap. In hindsight, I didn't need university for what I do now. I'm self-taught. I taught myself everything. Everything I learned from university, nothing applies to what I do right now. So in hindsight, I could say, well, university probably didn't need to happen, but it led us to this path, so I don't regret it. But at the time, that was the next step, right? I'm not really, this personal training thing's not really going to plan. I'm not really that popular. People don't know who I am. I'm struggling to get clients, right? Let's put a pin in it for now and let's go to university. So from 2014 to 2017, I kind of didn't train anyone because I was at university. And my plan was to revisit personal training and helping people with their nutrition after university, yeah. While I was at university, I ended up getting a job at South Tyneside College, and I worked there for about 4 years. And it was my first job. I loved it. But it was only a 0-hour contract job, so I wasn't doing very well. Like, put it this way, I didn't make enough to pay taxes. Yeah, I've only been paying taxes 3 years it's because I wasn't making nowhere near enough. It was literally just a 0-hour contract. I was guaranteed about 4 hours a week, which at minimum wage, £7. Not a lot to live on, so combine that with my student loan, the odd shift at my college job, I had enough money to essentially afford my food, afford my phone bill, and then go to the gym Monday to Friday, and then session on a weekend. And that was my big downfall. I think that was where I struggled. That was what caused a lot of anxiety in my life, because I didn't feel like I had anything. I hadn't quite figured out my identity yet. I was at university. I was studying well. Monday to Friday, I was dedicated. I was at university. I was going to the gym on a night time. I was building my body and I was in great shape myself. But on a weekend, I would get bored. And that's when ultimately I would go on social media, see everyone out, all my friends, all the people who I'm hanging around, they're all getting up to things. They've all got money. They've all got jobs. I've got fuck all. Yeah, I've got a little bit, but not a lot. Yeah, so that money that I had, it just got spent on drink, on clothes, on, nights out, on, drugs, whatever the party lifestyle was at the time, so I would just end up going around in circles, just, working for a little bit and then spending it all, then being skint and getting worried about it, then comparing myself to others, and money does not make you happy, guys. It doesn't make you happy. I've had zero money and I've had money to be comfortable, and trust us, it's how you spend your time and what you choose to focus on, and how you feel internally. Money's not the answer, but at the time I used to compare myself and get down about it, and all that kind of thing. And I think that's where my issue started. I think I was very insecure. I had a big ego, even though I was very insecure. And this whole bodybuilding thing, like just training and getting massive, that was my personality. Seriously, it's the only thing I had. So I was known as the big guy ever since I was 14, 15, or playing football. You marked the big lad. I wasn't tall, but I was wide, I was big. When I left school, I was like 13 and a half stone. At 16-year-old, at 5'8", 5'8" and a half. Don't forget the half. 5'8", 13 stone. A big lad. Yeah, because I've had the muscle, I've trained well. I'm broad, I'm thick, I've got big legs, I've got big shoulders. I stood out a little bit. And you can imagine combining that as a young lad with the sesh culture, going out all the time. I got involved in not a lot of violence, but and I had my fair share of scraps, shall we say, in a few situations which were very dangerous, in fact, which looking back now, I can't believe I got myself involved in, but it's just the way it is. And I wasn't hanging around with a bad crowd or anything. We're hanging around with a really good bunch of lads. It's just that's what everyone did. That was the culture. The culture where I'm from is you go out on a weekend, you get fucked up, and then you do it all weekend, and you do it again the next weekend. That's what everyone did. So I got trapped in this cycle of, comparing myself to others, feeling anxious, feeling insecure, using the gym and bodybuilding as a way to kind of protect myself and build myself up from the world. And I didn't really realize this until maybe this year. Looking back, I was trying to use bodybuilding and building this muscle as an escape from my insecurity. It was almost like, well, as long as I'm the big lad, I'll have something. As long as I've got muscle, people will be scared of us. I'll be significant, because really I was petrified of myself. I was petrified of my emotions. I didn't really know how to control them. I was very anxious, very insecure, and I might have came across as this, Jack the lad who's out with the lads on the weekend, goes out and looks like he's confident. In reality, I wasn't. I was scared. I was petrified. And, drink and drugs and, looking to fit in, that they just all go hand in hand, So I would say by the time I was in my early 20s, I was in a bit of a pickle, I'd created some drama. I'd had a few failed kind of relationships with people because of that drama, lost friends, gained friends, had a bit of a reputation maybe for being a bit of a lad who, didn't really maybe didn't treat people the best, and it kind of got on top of us. And I remember really struggling with my emotional well-being in my early 20s, and that's when I kind of decided like something needs to change. But I didn't know how to change. I didn't know how to change. So I tried to knock the drink and the drugs on the head and stop going out, but I didn't replace it with anything. And this is one thing I tell my coaching clients: you can't just stop a habit. Like, I help people stop with that emotional eating, with that binge eating, because that's something that I struggle with. I had an eating disorder. Basically, I would go to the gym Monday to Friday, and I would live this bodybuilder lifestyle, right? Where I would be so regimented, so strict, and I was in good shape. Yeah, and I would take all the supplements, all that kind of stuff that goes with it. And when it come to Saturday, I was eating and drinking absolute rubbish. Like, eating junk food, drinking, Saturday, Friday, but sometimes both nights. Then on Sunday, I'd feel so fucking ill and so overwhelmed that I'd eat a load of junk food, and then I'd try and throw it back up. Yeah, I'd stick my fingers down my throat and throw it up, and I wouldn't think nothing of it. Because I was like, oh my God, I've went against my values. I'm this bodybuilder. I'm supposed to be in shape. I'm meant to be doing a competition in 3 months' time, and I'm eating shit and drinking on a weekend. Oh my God, what am I going to do? So I ended up developing this eating disorder where I was like obsessed with tracking out and weighing my food. But then if I just kind of went off track and I just binged on rubbish, I would throw it up. And I thought it was completely normal at the time. And I remember the hold that it had over us. I was associating the way I looked and how lean I was and how muscular I was with how accepted I was from the world, and I made that prison up inside my head. It was totally false. Nobody judges you for how you look, and I learned that because everyone's judging themselves. Nobody cared about how I looked, but I convinced myself the only way I'd be accepted in the eyes of others and feel validated, feel significant, maybe even become this personal trainer I wanted to become, is if I look amazing. So I just kind of latched onto, right, I've got to look my best at all times, and if I did end up going off that, because that's an unsustainable way to live. Doesn't matter how dedicated you are, you want to eat a burger now and again. It doesn't matter how dedicated you are, you want to have a drink of alcohol now and again. And when that was my only escape from our emotional health, was to drink and fit in with everyone on the weekend, that directly went against my values of looking good. So when that happened, I would freak out. I would cause panic attacks. I would binge and purge. I was essentially suffering with an eating disorder without even realizing. So it had a huge impact on my mental health. So that kind of went on for a couple of years, I want to say. And then it got to the point where I left university, and I kind of convinced myself, right, this is it. This is your time now, Sam. You've left university. You've got 2 degrees. You've got all these qualifications. You're in great shape. Let's become a personal trainer. Yeah, all right, I'm personal training again. I'm ready to do it. Here's my business. Come up with my business name, Limitless Training. And I just expected people to sign up with me and work with me as a client, as their PT. Didn't happen. Why? Because I was an arsehole, essentially, because I was an insecure arsehole who just cared about how he looked, who wanted everyone to accept him for who he was. And if they didn't, I kicked off. So I didn't have the persona for people to trust me. I didn't have anything. So why would they hire me as a personal trainer? So my dream of becoming a personal trainer was shattered. Yeah, until I was that low in confidence that sometimes people would ask us, oh, Sam, you still doing training? I would say no. I would say no because I was petrified at failing. I was petrified at them saying I was shit at personal training. I was petrified at them saying, oh, you're not good enough. I was scared of failing. So I ended up not putting myself on the line to reach my goals and dreams of becoming a great personal trainer. I just didn't do it out of fear of judgment, out of fear of failure, which just depressed me more and more. And then I was still at my 0-hour contract job, but 0-hour contract job, you can't live on that. So here I am, 23-year-old, I get a phone call, oh, we're dropping your hours down to 2 a week. Yeah, I was only on like 6 hours a week guaranteed, like the weekend shifts, 3 hours. Oh, we're closing the gym on or whatever, we're only going to open in 2 hours. That's your shift. I was like, oh my God, so you're giving us £17 a week. I'm supposed to live on this. My student loans dried up. I've got no money left. I've spent all the money I've had on shit that I don't need. Clothes, drink, drugs, you name it. What everyone else does who's a early 20-year-old. And now I'm in this position where I'm 23. I've left university. All that certainty of what I'm doing's gone. All my life, school, college, university, it was all laid out for us. And now that's gone. There was nothing left. So I had this big gap in my life where I didn't know where to focus on, and everything seemed to get on top of us. Because, like I say, that certainty was gone. It was, right, you're at university, you're doing this, you're doing that. All of a sudden, bang, took away, Sam. Here's the adult world now. And it was like, holy shit, and I couldn't handle it. And I was struggling massively with anxiety, with panic attacks, and every night I was having a panic attack. And at the time, I'm just going to be honest, I didn't want to live anymore. And that's not because I wanted to die, it's just because I didn't want to live. There's a difference. I work with people who struggle with their mental health right now, and sometimes they say things like this, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with suicidal thoughts, and I say, you know what it is? Me too, I used to struggle with that as well. And the one thing I say to them right now, if you're struggling with anxiety, trust us, you don't want to die, because anxiety is a fear-based emotion. You are scared of something about the future. If you did not want to live anymore, you wouldn't be scared about the future because you don't want to have a future. So that's one big bit of advice I'll give you right now. If you're struggling with anxiety, with depression, and you think, this world is not for you, and you're getting overwhelmed because of the things that's getting on top of you with, trust me, if you've got anxiety, that's actually a good thing. And it took me a long time to understand where my anxiety was coming from, and it was essentially coming from the point that I wasn't fulfilled with my life. I wasn't doing things that was making me feel like I was connected, that I was living by my values, that I was fulfilled. I wasn't fulfilled. I was going against everything that I thought was supposed to be there, out of fear of judgment, out of fear of failure. So when I realized this, I reached my most rock bottom point. When I reached the point when I was like, right, I'm sick of feeling sorry for myself. I'm sick of going to bed and worrying that I'll not wake up. I'm sick of going to bed and waking up and thinking, fuck's sake, do I still feel like this? Like, why do I not feel better? I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to live. Yeah. And I think a lot of people feel like this. They struggle with their mental health so much, and it's just a lack of certainty. They don't know what makes them feel good. They've got nothing in their life to focus on. They've got a job they hate. They've got no financial, back up where a financial freedom where they can invest in themselves, they can buy a program, they can create their own business, they can move away, they can move house, they can move abroad. They've got nothing, and I had nothing. I had no money, I had no future, I had no leadership, I had no inspiration. My relationship with my partner at the time was totally dysfunctional. My relationship with my parents was dysfunctional because I was so depressed and I was so angry, and I was taking that out on other people, and I just created this big mess for myself. So at 23 years old, I still remember the day right now, 23rd of March 2018, I was 23. Yeah, I'd literally been battling a panic attack all night. I used to go to bed every night and overthink things to the point where I'd literally have a panic attack. I took myself to hospital a few times because I was that scared. I used to tell them, there's got to be something wrong with my heart. Why is my heart beating so fast? Why am I getting pains in my chest, pains down my arms? I don't understand. Is there something wrong with this? No, there's nothing wrong with your tests, blood tests, this and that. You're just struggling with anxiety. Oh, what's that? At 19-year-old, 20-year-old, I didn't know what fucking anxiety was. Nobody taught me about this, but that's how I was feeling. So this went on for a few years until I was just fucking sick of it. I was sick of it. I was sick of feeling sorry for myself. I was sick of saying I can't do what I want to do because I'm not confident. I've got so much anxiety. I can't put myself out there. I'm scared of living. I was sick of that person. So I just decided one day, like I say, 23rd of March 2018, I was preparing for a bodybuilding show at the time. And, bodybuilding is the only thing I had in my life at the time. That literally kept my sanity. But I realized I was using this bodybuilding show again, linking it to how I looked as making us happy. And it dawned on us, if bodybuilding was the answer, I would be happy by now. I'm just fucking miserable doing this show. I'm battling emotional eating. Anytime I overeat on my calories, I'm throwing up the food just so I can take the calories off. I'm justifying it in my head. Oh, well, if you overeat, you can just binge and purge. So I justified binging because I then purge and cancel it out. And I went through this robotic, tendency, if you like, where I was just a zombie for about 5-6 weeks, binging every day, purging every day, binging every day, purging every day, until I, literally, my anxiety's so rife, it's taking over my life because it was trying to tell us, listen, you're not doing what's best for you. You're doing something really wrong here. You're comparing yourself to others. You're thinking that bodybuilding's the answer. You think that people will love you and they will accept you if you look like this and you go and win this bodybuilding show. In reality, you've got nothing in your life, Sam. These are the things that I was telling myself, and I couldn't run away from that anymore. Yeah, you can't change your life if you are avoiding something. And I realized I was avoiding something. I was avoiding the real me coming out. I was letting the insecurity run the show. So this anxiety, this final anxiety attack I had, and to be honest, don't think I've ever had a panic attack since then. Tell a lie, maybe on the way back from Florida 2 years ago, when the plane was fucking turbulence all over the place, that was a little bit scary, I'm not going to lie. I was getting a little bit of panic there, but since then, I've never had a panic attack because I decided to change one thing, and that was to take responsibility and actually look at the things that I was avoiding. Why have I got no confidence? Why am I creating so much anxiety? Yeah. Why am I focusing on this thing, this bodybuilding show that doesn't even mean anything? It's a plastic trophy that costs £5. Yeah, I kind of convinced myself that I'd won this bodybuilding show. I would get a job. I would get a supplement contract. Someone would give us something to focus on after it. In reality, I would have won the show if I even done it. Yeah. And I would have went home and had the same problems that I had the day before. Nothing would have changed. And I realised that point. And I think my anxiety was coming from the place to remind us that that wasn't the answer. And I tell my clients this a lot of the time. If you're getting anxiety, it's feedback from the universe. What are you doing that's going against your values? What are you doing that you're not supposed to be doing? What are you running away from? What are you lying to yourself? What part of your life are you in denial about? Accept it. When you accept it and you take full ownership of it, you can't have anxiety. Yeah? So that's where I reached that point, 23rd of March. Anxiety was ruining my life. I was mega depressed. And I thought, something's got to change. And that's the day I decided to take responsibility. And out of nowhere, I guess I just got this rage. There was tears in my eyes, walking along the street, 5 in the morning. I had to leave the house because I was having a panic attack. I used to leave the house at 4 or 5 in the morning because I couldn't talk to my parents about it. I was not willing to show my vulnerable side whatsoever at that age because I had this big ego. I'm the 16-stone bodybuilder I'm Sam, I'm the 16-stone bodybuilder, I'm rough, I'm tough, nothing can bother me. That was the exterior, but that was just a facade. Yeah, that was just this thing that I'd created. Yeah, this persona that I'd created to really hide who I was, this scared, very alone, very vulnerable man who wasn't in touch with his emotions, who was generally just scared of living. I was scared of living. I was also scared of dying because I didn't want to die. I had things I wanted to do, but I was scared of living that life and I was stuck, yeah? So this exterior that I created, I knew I needed to drop it. I knew I needed to stop the bodybuilding thing. Nobody cares about how you look. They generally don't. Only you care about how you look. And when I dropped that feeling, thinking, you know what it is? I could win that bodybuilding show, but I'd come home and I'd still be fucking depressed. And once I realised that that wasn't the answer, and I never competed again. I dropped it. I didn't do it. I trained because I thought I like being in shape, and I still value being in shape, but it doesn't need to be my life. And I think a lot of people who are very one-dimensional with their fitness, all they care about is how they look. Everything is, this is how I look. I've got to eat this because it's going to help us do this. I've got to take this because it's going to look better. I can't go on that night out because of this. I can't have that cheat meal because it'll affect how I look. And if you end up breaking that and you do it, you end up struggling and you're getting the guilt, and you might end up developing an eating disorder like I developed out of basically fear that I wouldn't reach my goal, which was a very unrealistic target. Like, I was comparing myself to pro-level bodybuilders who'd been training for like 20 years. I'm a fucking 23-year-old kid. I'm never going to look like them. I might if I be able to put the work in and I do it for another 15 years, but I was 23, I was a baby. So what was I doing to myself? So once I realised this, it was like this pressure just dropped. I just took all of the pressure off myself. And I was met with this immediate sense of excitement. I've never went from feeling terrified to excited as fast as I did that day on the 23rd of March. I just decided I run the show. This rage came up me out of nowhere. I'm fucking sick of being miserable. I'm genuinely sick of being miserable. I deserve more than this. I just need to start acting like it. I realised you get what you owed in this life. You get what you owed, and what I meant by that is what I've done in the past and what I'm doing right now is giving me my future. Is this what I want my future to be? No. Right, I need to change what I'm doing now. I can't continue this. And once I had this epiphany, it was like, right, what happens now? And that's when I just dropped the need for external validation, and I started validating myself by living on my terms. I stopped giving a fuck about what people think. Yeah. I started being authentic. I dropped this persona that I have to be tough and that I'm not willing to show my vulnerable side. And I opened up about my mental health. And I said, you know what, I'm really struggling. Here's why. What do I need to do to get better? And I researched things. And I started watching personal development on YouTube. I started following guys on Instagram who inspired us rather than made me compare my body to them, rather than made me compare my life to them. Anyone on Instagram that I didn't like, that I didn't value, I unfollowed them. Anything that I perceived as negative, I got rid of. Anyone in my life who was draining me of my energy at the time, I removed. And I set myself up to win instead of playing just to not lose. And I started doing things that I really valued and that I thought would have a positive impact on us. And before you know it, I'm talking like this is how instant it was. I kind of had my epiphany in March 2018. Yeah. By June 2018, I left my job at the college and I started working for myself full time after having nothing before that, after having no idea how to run a business, after having no idea how to get myself out there as a personal trainer. All of a sudden, positive things started to happen. And everyone talks about the law of attraction and, you're a magnet to the universe. And I do believe in that. I believe that if you provide the most valuable, authentic version of yourself and you're not lying to yourself, you're not posting bullshit on social media, you're not selfish and you're not out to take from the world, you are out to give. When you give to the world, you give something positive, you give something special. The universe presents it right back to you. This is the first instance, not a coincidence. As soon as I dropped this bullshit and realised it was me all along, I can't blame anyone else for how I feel. It's me, my perceptions, what I'm focusing on. When I decided to change and work on myself and accept responsibility, it was almost like the universe went, right, there you go. There's an opportunity now. Yeah. And I've said this before, you've got to reach rock bottom before you find yourself. So if you feel like you are at rock bottom now, but you are not willing to change anything about yourself, you're not at rock bottom yet. You've got a bit of digging to do first before you really get to rock bottom. So for you to reach rock bottom, it's not what you think it is. Rock bottom is an epiphany. I've got two choices. I roll over and die and accept that this is my life, or I fucking fight and I change everything about myself. You've got to reach that point, and I reached that point on the 23rd of March 2018, and I've not looked back since. You know, what I've achieved since then, like I say, I could write a book about. I've helped hundreds of people change their life. I've educated them on the mindset because I needed it too. I had this emotional void that I felt like was information just waiting to be slotted into my head, and I just had to go out and learn it. Then I applied it to myself, and I created a coaching program teaching people about the things I've learned. You know, I struggle with emotional eating too. This is how I solved the problem. I can show you how to do that. Yeah, I used to struggle with comparing myself to social media, comparing myself to people on social media as well. Here's how I overcame it. I can teach you how to do that too. And then, you know, a personal trainer helping people in the gym transition into becoming a mindset coach. Yeah, and a transition into be, you know, to someone who earned, you know, £2,000 in 5 years to someone who's running a 6-figure biz. You know, I didn't do that by an accident. You can't do that without knowing the truth. You can't do that without being very, very valuable. You know, so this is the position I'm at right now. This is why I want to make this podcast. I want to spread the truth. I want to be authentic. I want to get my message out there. I want to share amazing stories. I want to share my story. I want to share my client's story. And I want to inspire you. I want to inspire you because what I've learned about people is we are all the same underneath. We generally are. We struggle with the same things. Doesn't matter where you are from. Doesn't matter what colour skin you are. Doesn't matter what sexuality you are. Doesn't matter where you are from. Doesn't matter if you're working class, middle class, upper class. Doesn't matter. We are all humans. We all have the ability to create amazing things, and we also have the ability to create terrible things. You know, I believe every man, every woman has the potential to make a heaven out of a hell and a hell out of a heaven. Yeah, 3-4 years ago, I was making a hell out of heaven. I had all the opportunities in the world. I had all this creativity. I had the knowledge. It was in here. I just didn't have the confidence to bring it to the surface, and I was feeding this insecurity inside of me, this ego issue from my past traumas, from past experiences, from past humiliations, from past times when I fucked up, when I failed. Yeah, I failed. This is my 4th business. I failed 3 businesses, and I say businesses, I mean hobbies. I mean hobbies that I tried. I tried to get into a meal prep business as well, failed, lost a lot of money. But I learned huge lessons from it, and I applied that in my current business, and it worked. You know, I'm doing all right. It's going very well. I'm helping a lot of people. Yeah, and that's the kind of way I'm at right now. So I believe in my 26 years on this planet, I've probably been through and tried and overcame a lot of things that a lot of people maybe double my age haven't ever tried. Why? Because they were too scared of failing. I was too scared of failing. Yeah, but when I stopped being scared of failing, that's when my life changed. That's when my mental health changed. That's when my business changed. That's when I realized I had the potential to transfer my energy to other people and help them change their life as well. So my business right now, Limitless Training, I help people overcome emotional eating. Like, I specialize in helping people stop binge eating and get in shape in sustainable ways. Because I've said this before, the reason that I used to binge eat, it was when I was so low, when I was feeling so low, and I realized if I was feeling anxious, one of the only things to make myself feel better was to eat junk food. So in the moment, I would say, fuck it, I don't care about my diet anymore. I'm getting this takeaway, I'm getting this bit of junk. I'd eat it and I'd feel content for an hour until those negative thoughts keep coming back in. Oh my God, what the fuck? I've went against my diet. I'm going to gain weight. I'm going to lose this bodybuilding show. Shit, get the toilet. Fingers down my throat. You name it. Until I'd be sitting on the bathroom floor, curled up, crying in a ball, thinking, why the fuck has this got a control over me? I'm not in control of my emotions. One of the scariest things I think you can have, if anyone struggled with that mental health, you'll understand that there would have been a point in your life when you've done something or you've thought something, and you generally get this sense of, this fear of death when you're like, I'm not in control. I'm not running the show here. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to make myself feel better. And I used to feel like that. You know, I'd get this urge to do it, and then I'd do it, and then I'd feel so fucking disgusted with myself after. And I would enter this depression, and it would take us for weeks. And then I'd muster up enough courage to try again, and then I'd enter this depression again. I would just go, you know, I was just going through the motions. I was like a zombie. 2018, that was the first half of 2018, I was like a zombie. Seriously, it's like a blur. Seriously, it's like a blur. I woke up every day, and it was like Groundhog Day every day. I thought I was stuck in a matrix or something. Every day was the same monotonous, boring pain that I just wanted to be out of. You know, and I was creating that. No one was doing anything to us. There was nothing wrong with the world. The world's fucking beautiful. Yeah, but if you want to make your world beautiful, you've got to change your inner world first. And that's what I help people do now. I help them understand that they have got potential. And when I named my business Limitless Training back in 2016, I kind of knew what I was naming it that, but I didn't realize until this year that what I named it was fucking perfect for what I do. Perfect. Because limitless, right? That means that your potential that you have inside of you, everyone, no matter where you are from, what color skin you've got, what sexuality you are, what you've done in the past, what you are doing right now, doesn't fucking matter. Yeah? It only matters in your head. You're the one telling yourself it matters. Does it fuck? Put that aside and accept that you are a human, you are wonderful, you are authentic, you have all the power in the world to create anything you want. Yeah, and I realize that's what limitless means, and that's the message I spread now. Yes, I help people with emotional eating because that's my background. I'm world class at it. Yeah, just check out my transformations, check out my social media. There's literally thousands of photos where I've helped people overcome their relationship with food and get in shape in sustainable ways. I've helped people all around the world do that. I'm world class at it. But what I like to do is also help people on their mindset. Because I said this many times before, the reason that people emotionally eat, the reason that people are overweight and they can't drop body fat and they don't like their bodies, which causes massive amounts of depression, by the way. Like I say, the depression's caused when your expectations of how your life should be are up here and your reality's down there. You think you should look like this, your body should be here, but really it's here. You think you should be lean, you should be skinny, you should fit into that dress, but really you're 5'6" stone overweight. That's the gap. That gap is the emotional void. Food fills that. Yeah, when we were babies and we cried, our parents instinctively knew, feed them. Makes them feel better. So anytime we feel stressed, anxious, down, bored, irritated, whatever, any kind of negative emotion, humans look for quick fixes to fill that gap. It could be drugs, could be alcohol, could be online shopping, could be gambling, could be sex. For me, it was food. For me, it was food or external validation from another person. That was my two vices. I really struggled with because I wasn't validating myself. So I've got attention from someone else, made us feel better. Yeah. Or if I couldn't get attention from someone else, I just eat shit. Yeah, and it would give us that emotional fix. Yeah, so many people are struggling with emotional eating. Why? Because they hate their jobs, they hate their bodies, they hate their relationships, they're not in control of their emotions, they're running away from something, they're dealing with some kind of past traumas. That's why they're eating. They don't eat because they want the food. People don't want takeaways every night. They do it because it gives them an emotional release. So what I help people do is understand where this emotional void is coming from. I help them fill that with healthier lifestyle habits so they remove the need to emotionally eat and therefore they can lose weight in sustainable ways. I am world class at doing that. Yeah, so this podcast, of course, it's going to be about life expansion. It's going to be talking about emotional eating. It's going to be bringing guests on who I've worked with, who've overcome adversity, who've changed their life. And I want to inspire you as well. But essentially, I just want to have some quality conversations. I want to spread the truth because when I was really struggling with my mental health, when I was struggling with my identity, with my life, with my emotional well-being, whatever you want to call it, I just wanted to know the truth. I wanted someone to say, Sam, this is why you feel like this. And say, Sam, this is how you can get better. That's all I wanted to know. I didn't want people to pat us on the back. I didn't want the people to tell us it's going to be okay. I didn't want the people to say, all you need to do is talk about it. Talk about what? What the fuck am I seriously going to talk about? Yeah? What am I going to talk about? I'm not willing to show my vulnerable side. I'm a man who thinks he's broken. Can you show me how to fix myself, please? Stop telling me to talk, right? Just tell us how to fix myself. You know, that's how I felt. You know, so I love the whole mental health thing, but my take on mental health is a little bit alternative because I don't think there's enough out there. I think there's not enough people spreading the truth, and I think you can choose to disagree with me, but this is just my personal opinion. I think people need leaders. People need to see someone doing something that they can go, I can do that as well. People who are struggling with their mental health, they need to see some proof that someone in your position overcame what you did. Otherwise, you're not going to fucking believe it. Because when you are depressed, you are so one-sided. Yeah, it's like the universe could be presenting you a fucking gift on a silver platter, and when you are depressed, you are blind to it because all you can see is the darkness. Yeah, and you need someone to show you that it's not dark, it's not all darkness, there's light there as well. You just haven't turned the light on yet. And I just wanted someone to show me, Sam, this is how you feel and this is why. First of all, don't beat yourself up. You're a human. You're not a robot. Here's what you can do to feel better. That's all I needed. And I kind of discovered that myself. But right now, when I'm in this position where I know I can help people and I see people struggling, I'm like, here, learn from my mistakes so you don't have to go through what I went through. Learn through my mistakes. I'm giving you the blueprint of how to do that. So that's what I want this podcast to be, just mindset expansion. That's why I call it head-to-head. Obviously, there's no one here today. I'm not butting heads with anyone, but we'll have guests on. We'll talk about our experiences. We'll talk about what we've been through. We'll apply it to the general population, and hopefully, if one person can listen to my podcast and say, Sam, that really changed my life, then what I'm doing is a good thing. So stay tuned for more episodes. Thank you for joining and watching this podcast. Like I say, maybe you've listened to my audiobook, maybe you've followed me on social media, maybe you've known me personally for years, maybe you didn't know what I've just discussed about myself. Maybe you've learned something, maybe you've related something to you and you're going to change your life from it. I don't know, but if one person has found me and has realised I needed to hear that today, I've done my job. Yeah. So hopefully that's happened, and hopefully we can move on from here. We can continue to build and exchange positive vibes, So thank you for joining my podcast, for listening to my podcast on Head to Head with Sam Gibson. Next time we will have some guests and we will be stepping it up a notch.